Dr. McDougall, how are you?
Thank you. How are you, Paya?
Wow, so I can see that you've got the model that that you and Kai have been working on of this case with a tumour in the nose. It looks fantastic. So just to explain to others what this is, we have a 17-year-old boy who's got a benign tumour in his nose that in the days of minimally invasive surgery, we plan to take out through his nostril without any cuts to his face. But it is quite large, and there's some critical anatomical dilemmas. Hamish, can you help me? Can you help describe the anatomy for me?
Certainly. Kai's made this extremely easy for me, not being medically trained, by marking the tumour in blue. And if I look up the nose, for example, and through the eye socket, I see evidence of the tumour almost everywhere. I can draw the margins and I can try and visualise how on earth a surgeon is going to try and get this out.
Yeah, well, one of the reasons we're taking it out is because the tumour is putting pressure on the eye, and if we don't take it out, then he'll go blind. Are there any other critical structures you can show me?
Certainly. If we rotate this around...
Wow, there's a lot of red blood vessels.
Indeed, I think this is the biggest trick here, is that the tumour is wrapped right around the carotid artery here. If I highlight that for you, that's going to be a tough job.
Yeah, and that is really the critical problem, because whilst we've got very little access, good vision but little access, if we are able to visualise these things beforehand and prepare for these things beforehand, then fatal complications such as having a carotid bleed in the back of the nose can be averted. So that's fantastic. It's very useful. Thanks, Hamish. But I actually come to you with the ulterior motive. I've got another student. If you remember, a few months ago, I had an Italian student with a pen lid in his airway. And you won't believe me, I've got another one, but this time an English one.
Oh, not again. Seriously?
Yep.
Have you considered just feeding them instead?
Feeding them? Next you're going to ask me to let them sleep. This is surgery. All right. Well, can I hook into your virtual theatre and have a look around and do some practice?
Please do. Jump in.
Thank you. Excellent. Wow. Do you want to walk me through your theatre?
Certainly. So this is a virtual operating theatre that we made at the School of Psychology at the university.
Thank you.
We only invested about a day in building this, which sort of made me amazed. Since we've got lots of fun stuff, we've got, for example, the patient's vital signs here are animated in real time. We have a computer that we can use to make sure it's the right patient, which I'm told is always a good start. The microscope over here actually works, so if you hold a tissue sample underneath it, you can see a magnified view. We have all of the lights and the usual paraphernalia. We hung an X-ray here, which we thought was fun because it's transparent in all the right places. If I hold my instruments behind it, I can see through it.
And a mirror.
We even see each other. So
yes,
not only do I
absolutely.
see your head and you see me and hands, we see each other in the mirror.
Great.
But most important, and the thing we should
patient.
focus on, is the patient, of course.
And I've got my virtual telescope, a virtual endoscope, I must say. So we're going down the airway, or the trachea, and there's something blue in here. You can tell that I've done this more than once. There's a blue pen lid that you've put in there for me.
Yes, we realise you're going to do this a lot.
That's fantastic. But the beauty of this is not just the fact that I can, I'm not limited to anatomical plane, so I can actually do an esophagoscopy if I wanted to. And I could even go into the chest and have a look at the lungs if I wanted to. And I'd bet I'd probably be able to see your instruments as well, wouldn't I?
Yes, indeed. If I bring my laparoscopic instruments in and try and find the end of your camera, there we are.
Brilliant. Do you think you could try and find the end of this pen?
That would be an interesting challenge. I like the idea of that. All right, I think I've got it. Excellent. So we've got him out with the laparoscopic instruments.
That's great. So if I I mean, one of the other things is, we can sort of wander around the body. I'm sort of looking at the abdomen, but we don't have to do that with a telescope, do we? We can wander in and have a look for ourselves.
Indeed, this gets a bit personal with a real subject, but in virtual reality, I can put my head right inside his chest cavity. And for you, this looks kind of flat, two-dimensional, but it's fully 3D for me, and it really helps me understand the arrangement and geometry.
That's fantastic. So, Hamish, you've been doing this for a while. Can you tell us about some of the advantages that you see of this technology for surgical training?
Sure. I think the thing that I'm most excited about with this demonstration is the fact that there are two of us collaborating in virtual reality. And it so happens that we're standing both here on the same stage, but there's no reason why we couldn't be 8,000 miles apart. There's nothing connecting our two computers except a low bandwidth internet connection. So you might be in America and I could be in Australia and you might be teaching me a particularly tricky surgical procedure.
I could be in Sydney and a colleague could be in Wagga and we could be teaching each other surgery without needing to travel to each other.
Exactly. The telemedicine thing in Australia is always important.
What else? What other advantage do you see?
The huge advantage for us at the uni on fairly limited budgets, of course, is there's huge saving in cost. Everything that we're using today you can buy at the local shopping centre for about $1,000 plus a fast PC, and that obviously is kind of insignificant compared with the millions you could spend on a real surgical simulator made of stainless steel and with all the appropriate instruments.
Fantastic. And I bet you could scale that too, couldn't you? Because you could just translate this to some other specialty or another use.
Yeah, I think that's the power of collaboration. If I were to send you this surgery by email, you could do a little bit of work on it and add some new gadgets or some new procedures and then email it on to your colleagues, and after a few rounds of that we might get something looking really fancy.
This is fantastic. Thank you so much, Hamish. But I better get to work, so I'll see you in a bit.
Okay, good luck with it. Enjoy.
Thank you.